For years, we've all been asking Sony the same question over and over in every What's Next video. Where's the Sony FX3 II? Turns out we were asking the wrong question the entire time, because what's coming instead is something with a new name, and it's called the FX5. And after years of silence, it's finally, unmistakably, coming. So let's talk about what we actually know about the Sony FX5 and why Sony made this decision. Let's start with the hardest evidence we have, because this isn't speculation anymore. It's registered. A new Sony FX series camera has been filed with China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology under multiple model codes. That kind of certification activity doesn't happen for a rumor. It happens for a real product moving toward a real launch. Now let's talk about what this camera is actually bringing. And the headline feature is genuinely massive: a brand new global shutter sensor. Not the same sensor Sony used in the A9 III, a different, more advanced design built specifically for this camera. For anyone who's fought rolling shutter distortion on a whip pan or watched LED lighting flicker and band across footage, global shutter isn't a marketing buzzword. It's the elimination of an entire category of problems that have plagued digital cinematography for years. Second, and almost as significant, open-gate 5K recording in a 3:2 aspect ratio. This is a genuine surprise because for years Sony representatives have publicly stated they didn't believe there was sufficient demand for open-gate recording on their compact cinema line bodies. That position has apparently changed completely. Open-gate shooting means you capture the camera's full sensor area regardless of your final delivery format, letting you reframe in post-production, pull a clean vertical crop for social platforms, or maintain maximum resolution no matter how you ultimately crop the shot. For solo creators delivering content across multiple aspect ratios from a single shoot, this is a genuine workflow transformation. Physically, the FX5 is expected to be slightly larger than the current FX3, a deliberate choice, not a compromise. That added size is reportedly making room for a button layout and menu system borrowed heavily from Sony's professional Venice line, along with modular support for accessories like XLR handles, external EVFs, and SDI expansion modules. This isn't an alpha camera with cinema features bolted on. It's being built from the ground up with a cinema-native design philosophy. There's also credible chatter about a new lens arriving alongside the camera, possibly the long-rumored 16 to 28mm vid 2.0 GM wide-angle zoom, though that detail remains genuinely unconfirmed, even among reliable sources tracking this story closely. Here's the part of this story that matters more than any individual spec: what this naming decision actually tells us about where Sony's entire cinema line is heading. Calling this camera the FX5 instead of the FX3 II isn't a marketing quirk, it's a structural statement. Sources tracking this story consistently describe it as a mini Venice. Language chosen deliberately to signal that this camera sits in a genuinely different tier than a simple FX3 refresh would have occupied. It's being positioned above the FX3, borrowing meaningfully from Venice and Burano's professional design language, while still sitting below Sony's true flagship cinema systems. That repositioning effectively reshapes the entire FX hierarchy. The FX3 doesn't disappear. It remains Sony's accessible, compact entry point into serious cinema work, and likely becomes more affordable as the FX5 launches above it. But the gap between prosumer hybrid and true cinema tool just got a brand new camera sitting directly inside it, built specifically to bridge that divide. This mirrors something we've already watched happen elsewhere in the industry. Canon doing exactly this with hybrid bodies like the EOS R65 and R5C, deliberately blurring the line between consumer accessible and professional grade. Sony appears to be making the same calculated move, but doing it with a dedicated cinema line body rather than a hybrid stills camera wearing a video hat. For long-time FX3 owners, this raises a genuinely interesting question. Do you stay with your proven, beloved compact body, or do you make the jump into a more deliberately professional-feeling tool? Sony seems to be betting that once filmmakers see global shutter and open gate working together in a body this size, the answer for serious creators becomes obvious. This announcement isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening because competitors forced Sony's hand. For years, the assumption was simple. Eventually, Sony releases an FX3 II, and the compact cinema conversation continues roughly as it always has. But while everyone waited, Canon and Nikon didn't. Canon's EOS C50 and EOS R65 both launched directly into FX3 territory, while Nikon's ZR brought Red's color science and raw workflow into a compact cinema body at aggressive pricing. By the time Sony finally moved, both competitors had already meaningfully eclipsed what the original FX3 offered. That's the real story behind the FX5's ambitious feature set. Global shutter and open gate aren't just nice additions. They're Sony's answer to genuine competitive pressure that's been building for years while the FX3 line sat without a true successor. Canon, notably, isn't new to global shutter technology either. They debuted it in their Cinema EOS lineup with the EOS C700PL some time ago. So the technology itself isn't unprecedented. What makes this moment significant is Sony combining global shutter with open gate recording in a single, relatively compact, accessibly priced body, a combination nobody else has fully delivered yet at this tier. If Sony executes this well, the FX5 doesn't just answer Canon and Nikon, it potentially leapfrogs them, at least until the next generation of competing cameras arrives. Let's talk timing and money, because the picture here is unusually clear for a camera that hasn't officially launched yet. Multiple independent, trusted sources have converged on the same timeline. The Sony RX10 II announcement is expected in early July 2026, followed by the FX5 in a separate announcement later that same month. That's about as confident as rumor reporting gets before an official reveal. On pricing, official numbers don't exist yet. Sony hasn't confirmed anything. But based on the FX5's rumored positioning above the FX3 with a brand new global shutter sensor and Venice-inspired modular design, analysts are estimating a price point somewhere in the $5,000 to $6,000+ range. That's a significant jump from the FX3's roughly $4,000 launch price, but it reflects genuinely different positioning. This isn't an FX3 refresh, it's a new tier entirely. For Indian creators specifically, expect official availability through authorized channels to follow the global announcement by several weeks to a few months, consistent with how Sony has handled previous cinema line launches in the region. If the leaks hold true, the FX5 brings genuine global shutter performance and long-requested open-gate flexibility into a body still compact enough for solo filmmakers and small crews to carry without a support team. That's not a small thing. That's Sony finally listening to years of feedback, then building something that answers Canon and Nikon's recent momentum directly. July is close. The RX10 II comes first, then the Sony FX5 follows. And based on everything circulating right now, this might be the most significant Sony cinema line announcement in years. It's coming, and it sounds like it's worth the wait. Subscribe so you're there the moment Sony makes it official. Thanks for watching.